Hunter Biden is the next show, so I'm gonna pin the tweet.
Can I share a really important story about Twitter during this whole saga?
Twitter?
Yeah. So I first came on a Twitter space because of this whole Celsius bankruptcy and all that stuff, and all the bankruptcies in there. But Twitter space throughout this whole saga has actually saved quite a lot of lives. And one of the events that happened on Twitter Space as a result of this is somebody put all of their money onto Celsius, and it was so he couldn't actually tell his partner or his wife, and he just had a baby. And he was, he couldn't face the thought of telling his partner that he'd lost all his money and she didn't know about it. And he came on a Twitter space and we were all just doing our usual thing. And he came on and he was crying his eyes out. And he was saying, Simon, these Twitter spaces, like, it's the only thing that stopped me killing myself. And he said it driven him to alcoholism. And he said, look, Simon, I've got to be honest, I'm coming up right now because I've reached a low point. And you've got to tell me something, otherwise I'm going to blow my brains out. This happened on one of these Twitter spaces, and it wasn't a joke. It was deadly serious, and everybody on that Twitter space literally just poured their heart out around, like, what had happened and what had happened to them. And this guy just felt so comforted and so in community and so supportive that he was around other people that were going through the same thing. That the very next day he sent me a picture on Twitter, a DM of his like newborn child, and said, look, in that moment that the community supported me on Twitter Spaces, sorry, it's a bit emotional. I looked at my child, and I remembered, because I was about to kill myself. He said, I remembered that money's not important; it's just money, and my son needs me. And he said, I'm going to check into Twitter Spaces every day, and when I hit a new low, I'll come back up. And he's been checking into Twitter Spaces, and as everything progressed, he started to realize that there's a whole community that's with him. And I'm sure there are other people that don't speak on the stage that weren't as brave. But because this technology exists, because people were able to find other people in a similar situation in that moment in their life, it actually saved lives, which I think is just an incredible thing. And it really has helped being able to speak to people in this. So Twitter Spaces came at the right time, got traction at the right time. But obviously, what I'd love to see is a Lightning Network integration. That would be awesome. But yeah, just wanted to share that there's human impacts here while we're talking about all these numbers.
And I think Simon, it's also really important that we are telling everyone who's here right now listening, who has been hurt by this FTX bust and who has lost money, and some of them, I'm sure, will have lost a lot or maybe even everything. Don't let this be the reason for, doing something stupid. You're going to get out of it. It is just money. You're going to find a way to get back on top. So don't give up. And what Simon just shared here with us, take this story, picture it, and think about your family, think about the people that love you, your friends, people that care about you. Like, don't let this event be the breaking point for you. You're going to come out of this.
Yeah, so Kim, maybe you could share, because like everyone knows, I invested in some of your tech, and you got some new stuff coming up, like a long time ago. But like, Kim, share how you've obviously been put through by building technology situations where you must have hit a point where you feel like the entire government and you're going to lose your freedom. How do you get through those moments when you hit those rock lows?
Wow. Oh man, I mean, I've been in this mess for over a decade now. It's not over. The New Zealand government still has to make the final decision if they want to extradite me, which is, probably coming before the end of this year. And then I have 2 more avenues in the courts. But the whole thing will have taken 12, 13 years by the time it's concluded. And then if I do ever get extradited, I have no hope that I would ever have a fair trial. Very few people understand that my case is not just a copyright case, right? They did not just send 72 people with machine guns and 2 helicopters and all this stuff to my house in a copyright case. They were punishing me because I was the biggest donor to WikiLeaks. So after I saw the collateral murder video, I was so upset and I felt that this was so wrong, what the US is doing around the world, killing all these people. And I said, look, I got to do something that more of this truth is coming to the public. So I, spent quite a bit of money and gave it to WikiLeaks. And that, of course, put me on top of the target list of this Pentagon group that was looking for all the partners and supporters of WikiLeaks to, crack down on them. And that is why, a lot of things went the way they did in my case. They were really trying to punish me. And so, for me to get through all of this, obviously I have kids, so they helped me a lot. Like when I was really, really down, really, really sad, I would go, to the kids' room with them and cuddle with my kids and just cry my eyes out and just being with them, that gave me the will and the strength to push through and keep fighting. I think if I didn't have my kids, if I didn't have a family, I may have already said, I'm logging out, the simulation is over for me, and I'm going to try to do better in the next game.
Yeah, I think there's so much to unpack there. Yeah, look, the importance of financial censorship. This is a fight. Bitcoin is a fight for freedom, and financial censorship is removal of freedom of speech. So, I backed Kim's technology. I think it was back in 2015, 2016 or something, when he was looking at how you could use all of these decentralized storage layers and decentralized currency in order to solve the problem of people being able to share content and have freedom of speech. And the fact that what happened to you was all connected to your financial transactions is obviously an insight of what's already happening, but what's going to go on to steroids when we have central bank digital currencies. So when we're in these moments where we're creating these $600 million hacks and billions of dollars of touching client money and all that type of stuff, it's really, really important to understand the importance of what we're actually creating here. And while you have all these different cryptocurrencies that have different layers of centralization, decentralization, we can't take our sight off the main goal of the importance that we now have this proof of work chain that we know has problems in terms of transaction fees and all that type of stuff, but it's still our world's best shot at achieving digital hard sound money, and it's the only reason money you can own, money you can spend, and money that has a fixed supply. And it's the only reason that all the other stuff is being built that may solve some of the privacy layers and stuff like that. But when you look at someone like Kim's case, literally, he's been fighting for freedom for over 15 years for building technology and contributing to perfectly legitimate technology that keeps the government more accountable. And that's why the importance of these messages of what we're here for. Sometimes you have to remember that amongst all this carnage. So thanks for sharing, Kim.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, real quick, Mario, I really appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Who was just jumping in? Was that you, Frank? Because I can't see